Now, Peter, the purpose of this interview is I want to give business owners inspiration from your experiences to apply for their own marketing. Now, just to be clear, when you started out and opened your first butcher shop, you didn't have a background in marketing at all, did you?
I had no background in anything. I didn't even know how to run a business.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I learned it all by error.
Right. So when you started, how did you get your customers?
My good looks. No. Look, I was in a side road, so it was hard.
Yeah.
But the first thing I'd done, the local kindergarten come in and wanted a bit of help. And I had no money, but I helped them,
Yeah.
And little things like that, And then I started to do a little bit of advertising.
And was that just in the local newspaper?
Yeah, and leaflets and that.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people, no advertising. I say to people, you're investing in your future. If you don't invest in your future, it's not going to blossom. And so even today when people ask me certain things, I say, no, you're investing in your future. And you just want to try to make sure you do it right. And I think the main thing is don't let your ego get in the way.
Yeah.
Like, it would be easy to go on TV and have your face on a TV for ego.
Yeah.
See, one of the good marketing tools I used, was the Good Morning Show with Mary Lambie.
Right.
Now,
okay.
I have to be honest, there was a bit of ego there, but I also played it to my advantage, and it really helped,
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised the amount of people that say to me, advertising doesn't work. And I look them straight in the eye and say, you must be an effing idiot. I mean, look at me where I am, where I went to. And it's, mate, through advertising, Things like round the bays that we took hold of,
Yeah.
Advertising in the local papers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people talk about advertising as an expense, but I noticed before you referred to it as an investment. And if that's a key to your perception. If you see it as an expense, then often you see people are like, I can't afford to do any advertising this year. I haven't got the money. But what you're talking about is it's an investment. It's not an expense. That's a really important difference.
I'm going to share a story with you now. There was a guy called Tim Bickerstaff on radio, on Radio Pacific, very knowledgeable on sport. And one night he had a dig at the mighty Mangreast Hawks, which I took offence to. So I rang him and said, hey, mate, and we ended up having a bet on air. We made the bet. And a guy rang me when I got home, because no mobile phones in those days, said, hey, Butch, did you know you had that bet with that Tim Bickerstaff tonight? Did you know he's a professional punter? And boy, I went grey overnight, because I didn't have a lot of money, but I dropped an open cheque at his office for the bet. Let him name it. So we used to have little bets, not big time, but and I'd go to the Wirry Trust Hotel in the private bar to see him. And he said to me, why don't you advertise? And I thought, well, I can't afford to. Then I went home that night and I thought, if I didn't spend that money on those bets, I could. So I went back in a couple of nights later and said, I'll stop advertising, we'll start advertising. So then we said, we need a gimmick. He said, you need a gimmick.
Yeah.
And with that, a Maori guy walked in past the bar and said, there's the effing Mad Butcher. And so we started off, we called it Rosella Meets the Home of the Mad Butcher.
Mad Butcher.
And so that's really how we got into the main fray of advertising, the big time, radio.
Yeah.
And it grew from there,
So taking a step back from that, when you did the Mangere East butcher shop, in a previous interview, you talked about how I think the chairman of the local club, the Hawks, came. Yeah. So he actually approached you to get involved with providing meat for the local raffle.
He called it sponsorship. And I said to him, well, I don't know what sponsorship is. He said, will you give us some meat packs that we can raffle and we'll put the names on the club or, give you a plug-in. And that's how it all started.
So you gave them the meat for free, and in return, he promoted your name.
Yeah, at the club,
And how did that go initially?
Oh, well, mate, great rides. I was there for many years, and I managed the top team. And funny enough, I just spoke to 2 guys yesterday from the club talking about the old days from Mangrees.
Yeah.
Just decided to ring a couple of guys. And no, look, that was fantastic. I mean, we got the names on the jersey, and we used to, in those days, rugby league never got a lot of publicity.
No.
And so I would go on the radio, and one of the keys to my marketing was I'd buy 90 seconds, but I'd only speak for 40 seconds.
Right.
Or 50, and say 40, and I'd talk about the rugby league in it.
Right.
And so the ads weren't boring, and people would listen to what I was going to say, you know. Yeah.
And I want to touch on that because I'm aware of that, and also with your television commercials, you used to do something similar. You'd refer to the league. So how impactful has your involvement with league at all the levels been on your business over the years?
I don't think that... do you mean... like taking me away from the business or that?
No, I mean as in helping build your business, having that connection and profile intertwined.
I don't think it has. I think it helped the profile of me.
Yeah.
I think, well, I'm bloody positive it was the price.
Yeah, right.
The pricing. There was one period of time where I was by far the cheapest for meat in New Zealand.
Yeah.
By far. Times have changed. See, when I first started, the supermarkets and that thought I was a dickhead. You know, I can tell you, I've been told by people that are in meetings, and one guy actually said, "No, don't worry about him. He's a dickhead. He wouldn't know what he's doing." But then what happened was, and I can't tell you how, but somehow they found out. Maybe dealing with someone like Teagle, where I was a major client, and said, you know, oh, we're not happy you're dealing, or he sells more than you, sort of thing, and. Yeah, I mean, it's...
so do you think, though...
I was flying under the radar, you see.
So do you think, though, like, if you look at it, so a big push for you was the cheap price. Do you think, though, if you line that up with the typical people that supported rugby league, that all came together, and your profile in supporting rugby league, it brought you to the attention of the rugby league community, who typically, without trying to generalise, generally probably are from poorer communities, and therefore you offering the cheaper price all really work together to help facilitate the growth of your business? A little bit of both,
but I genuinely believe the big thing was the price.
The price.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
You know, people would come from all over, you know. And to be fair, in the early days, they'd come from all over to the Mangere shop to see who the city it was that was on the radio and make a dick of himself, you know. And I was good enough salesman, I could encourage them to buy some meat while they were having a look at me, you know. Yeah. But I mean, the league helped, but I genuinely believe, g'day, your old mate, rump steak, $6.99 a kilo, you know.
Yeah.
It helped, you know. And as I say, the supermarkets didn't realise how I was growing, and you know, when they did, that's when they started to hit back and, you know, drop their prices, and, you know.
So when you're doing all that, no one else was marketing like you, were they? I mean, you're the only person getting on and doing the ads and shouting like that and saying the prices and that. So really, that was a point of difference for you.
Oh no, well, I was different, you know. I'm a bit unique, you know. But look, it was fun, mate. I was having fun.
Yeah.
And I never got too serious with myself, you know, and like I never had a personal secretary or anything like that, you know.
Yeah. But the thing was that you were being different. You're being yourself, but that was being different, and that set you apart and helped to get your attention.
Yeah. Like I've said many times, what a ride, mate. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an incredible ride and great memories.
So when people visited a Mad Butcher shop, what did it mean? Like, in your mind, when you were building this business, and even with your first one, when people were coming to the store, what in your mind kind of were you wanting them to see and experience?
I wanted them to enjoy shopping at the Mad Butcher.
Yeah.
I wanted them to get value for money.
Yeah.
You know, and hence I introduced a money back guarantee.
Yeah.
You know, it was just simple stuff. You know, if you get too smart, it gets complicated.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
You know. And I think we achieved that, because without the staff, I couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a guy work for me years, Tom Kalinski, you know. I rang a guy today, Willie Schick, you know. Basil Apatutu I rang yesterday, you know, guys that have worked for me for a long time, great guys, you know. And they all help make it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so for you, when you were doing the franchise, was it central to the franchise you wanted to make sure that whatever store they went in, that they had the same experience?
Within reason.
Yeah.
Because you can't transplant me into every store, you know. But certainly the meat was the same, the prices were the same, the sausages, you know. We had Sausage Heaven where we made all the sausages, you know. So they were consistent. There used to be a brand out called Peach Products, and they used to make a pork sausage. In its day, the best in the country. Why? Because it was consistent.
Right.
Part of life, consistency, you know, with product, and that is key, you know. And don't bullshit people. If it's not good, you tell them it's not good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, be honest.
Yeah.
And by being honest, you build up your integrity and credibility with your customers.
Yeah, I think so.
They trust you.
Yeah.
And I mean, McDonald's themselves, I mean, their success is largely based on their consistent product. Whether you like it or not, you know that you can go into any McDonald's around the world and pretty much get the same thing.
And that good franchise agreement. I used to call it my Bible.
Right.
You know, and you've got to be firm with that. You know, we brought in a fine system, and one guy's lawyer said, "Oh, it's only to make you more money." And my lawyer said, "Well, you need to go and read the franchise, because he doesn't. The money goes to charity." But we had a couple of loose stores, and I was scared, like I said, at Domino's, one bad store can roll the lot.
Yeah.
And we used to have our meetings at the Mangley Club, and so I put it to the vote, and, you know, we're going to bring in the fine system. And one guy said, "Oh, we should have a secret ballot." I said, no, we're going to do it openly. There's no secrets. And the reason I done that is because they would have all voted no, you know, and they were the bad shops who would have voted no anyhow.
Yeah.
Were too scared, and it was unanimous.
Right.
And it was good because we could control the shops, you know. Didn't find many shops. I remember one guy got up at the meeting and said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, how many times have I come in your shop and told you off? How many written letters have you had? How many warnings have you had?" He said, "Well, none." I said, "Well, what are you worried about? Do it right. We can't touch you."
Yeah, no problem.
And the main thing, we were trying to protect the brand, you know, because, as I say, it said at Domino's. But then what happened is we made the bread so strong, it would weather a storm.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So the name Mad Butcher really became integral with everything about your marketing, didn't it? And it came about by accident.
Here again, you're 100% right. But here again, quoting Murray Deaker, in the conversation we had with another guy the other week, he said, "The Mad Butcher and Peter Leitch are one. There's no show. You get...
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, with everything, you know."
Yeah.
And that's the way it's been.
Yeah.
I may have got more confident as the years got on, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah.
You know. With success, confidence grows.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you always have to be aware. Get too confident and the house will fall down.
Stay grounded.
Yeah.
Now, I know you didn't do it for that intent, but do you think that your active involvement in the community helped the promotion of your business?
No. Price.
So what about things though, like your involvement with Round the Bays?
Yeah.
And, you know, and you were telling me before about how you helped with people that wanted to run but they're on their own, and so you went ahead and you gave them all T-shirts and that. Don't you think though that helped get your brand out there, make
I'd help
people
get the brand out there,
aware
mate.
of you and get them to your store?
No question. No. But look, to the day I die, I'm convinced the price was the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, why would you pay $10 for a rump steak when you can get it for $6.99.
The thing about that, though, Peter, is that that's right, but if you were a little store in the middle of nowhere and then you didn't go out and shout it around the rooftops for everyone to know, you might be the cheapest, but no one would know. So you were the cheapest, but you also went out and told everyone in a whole different
Yeah, but I told them different ways. And
absolutely.
I believe in sharing the love, and I've always tried to do that. I mean, you know, I've done a lot of things where I don't tell people, you know, like in the community, you know, the private, you know. But that was just the way we done it, you know. And look, there would be, look, I'll give an example. I used to be the patron of the SPCA, okay? One year, I cooked the barbecue in the rain, all right, for about 5 hours. Got absolutely soaked, you know. 3 old ladies come out the next week from Remuera to buy their meat. Why? Because I cooked the sausages in the rain for the SPCA. So there are some, you know, there are the ISID, but I think, honestly, without repeating myself once more for about the 100th time today, price was the main one, you know. She's got a lot of people on a fixed income, you know.
But so tell me a little bit more about it, because you've done some interesting things about getting the message out there. So price is your key thing, but you've done a lot of interesting things to kind of get the word out there about you, so people become aware of your cheap price. So you've done like with the marathon. What other sort of different things that you've done that are a bit outside the square?
A guy, Warren Mail, rang me some years ago from Heatway, I think the firm was called.
Right.
He had some toasters, grillers that they wanted to get rid of, but they didn't want to put them in the stores. They wanted to get rid of them on the side.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, we've got 100 of them or something like that. He said, would you be interested? I said, what price? And we negotiated a price. And I then done a meat pack and gave them a free thing. And there's no question it was free, because the meat pack and the thing that you were getting, the meat pack, you were getting the thing, because the meat was still at a good deal. And I mean, things like that work. I mean, they rocketed out the shop. I don't think they had too many shops in those days, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it just went gangbuster. I still can't believe it, you know, for $80 and you got this $50 bloody toaster. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the things from talking to you that comes through for me is that you're being really good at seizing the opportunity. So things come up unexpectedly and you've seized the opportunity. And one of the examples is you were talking before about how there was a situation where you were called upon for a favour to go on the radio because the guest that was supposed to be on wasn't there. And then, so you then said, well, okay, but I want to come on for longer than required.
That was...
And then you promoted the business.
That was Radio Pacific. It was, Chris Carter.
Yeah.
And he'd been promoting, he'd done the night show from about 7 or something. And he'd been promoting a mystery guest for a couple of months. The guy rings him up an hour before the show, an hour and a half. So I can't make it. So Chris rings me and said, what are you doing tonight? So I got visitors for tea. And he said, oh, bugger. I said, why, mate? And he told me the story. I said, well, mate, how long will I get on the air? And he said, oh, an hour. But I said, no, take the ads out. It won't be an hour. So he ended up giving me an hour and a half. And so I said to my business, look, I've got to go. I've just got an hour on air, free, national, because it was around New Zealand.
Wow.
So I said, you know, but we'll have back, you know, you have tea with Janice. And, you know, she wasn't happy, but... I went out and done it.
Yeah.
You got to seize the opportunities. Same in Invercargill.
Yeah.
They got a test match coming up, and they used to have a sports show on the radio down there, FOVO radio, I think it was called.
Radio,
And someone said, "Oh, we'll get that Mad Butcher," because they couldn't get anyone else. And I was the last bus off the rank, and they rang me, and they got a lot of feedback. And mate, I ended up doing that sports show for about 7 years. Now you'd say,
"Wow,
well, why would you want to do Invercargill when your butcher shops were in Auckland?" Well, couple of reasons. A, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And secondly, you never know when they're going to move to Auckland. You know? Yeah. So but you seize the opportunities when they're there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be that you're going to win out of it. It can be because you want to help the person, or, you know, like Peter Kite invited me down to do a barbecue at the harness racing, the trots down in Invercargill, which I took. That led to me getting a gig emceeing the Bluff fishing competition that was sponsored by Starby Craft, who are a boat builder down there.
Yeah.
And, take the opportunities with there and ride the wave.
Yeah.
Ride the wave. It's like a surfer. You get on it and you ride it. And, boy, don't fall off. Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you did too was you turned store openings into a bit of an event. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, Takapuna, the police rang me and said, you should have got a permit, you should have done this. And I said, I know, we're going to get bloody paid. The traffic was manic.
And what did you do? Why did that happen?
Just the ability I had of, creating something, And here again, we'd normally put on a very good price, you know. Yeah.
So I know that you use celebrities sometimes for opening shops. Can you?
David Hartnell was the best.
Yeah.
Got him to open Mount Roskill. And we're now personal friends, have been since then.
Right.
He was a bit hesitant at first. I said, well, what do you want? He said, I want this and I want that. I provide that, but done it all good. And, mate, he was very impressed. And then a big crowd, and, he was blown away. So we've stayed friends ever since.
Right.
And he's still around doing his things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you promote the opening? Like, was that on radio?
Oh, radio, paper. I can't remember now. You're going back in time, mate.
Yeah.
But just my little skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good too because I had a partner called Rod Slater, and he could do the back room stuff and I'd do the front room stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a good partnership.
Yeah.
So you played to your strengths. He was better in the background and you being the front man.
Mount Roskill shop was funny because I'd just come back from Canada and I brought these headgear, Indian headgear, and I wore that on the opening. And I shot a guy and burnt him. I burnt him. He rang up the next day, said, I'm not very happy. The man would just shot me and burnt me. And so Rod went to see him and he had a big burn mark here. So he got free meat for a year. Settled him down very quickly.
Yeah. So at what point did you make the decision, or and how did it come about to start advertising on TV?
I honestly can't remember. I would say they more or less approached me.
Right.
But I honestly can't remember. My memory's not as good.
Yeah.
I'm 76, coming up on 77.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember. Yeah.
But television became quite an integral part of your promotion, though, didn't it? I mean, you're so well known for coming on TV and doing your ads.
Oh, I'd say radio, to be fair.
Yeah?
Radio made the Mad Butcher.
Right.
Radio made the Mad Butcher. I still love radio.
Yeah.
Not as powerful as it used to be.
Yeah.
I still write a column for the local papers.
Oh, okay.
For stuff, yep.
Yeah.
Goes in the Manukau Courier and the Western Leader and goes in papers around the country. Yeah.
So from what you can remember, you were on radio quite a bit before TV? TV
was
a lot more recent?
Definitely. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
TV was an afterthought.
Right.
No, Radio Pacific, Tim Bickerstaff.
Yeah.
And then ZB come to me and wanted me to advertise with them, but they didn't do phone outs. So I said, no phone outs, because I knew that was the secret to my advertising.
Right.
So then they reluctantly agreed to it.
So can you just explain for everyone listening to this or watching this what a phone out is? What does that mean?
Phone out is when they would, in my day, they would phone you live and you'd go to air.
Oh,
and
right,
you would have 90 seconds or something,
Yeah.
And you would do the special, then you'd have a bit of laugh, and
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were very successful for me. Yeah, very successful.
So you've had a lot of successful marketing, but what about your failures? Did you have any?
I can't tell you, honestly. I wouldn't have a clue. I live for the future, not the past. I mean, you've reminded me today of stuff that I'd forgotten about. You know what I mean?
So realistically, though, I guess the message I want to get out there for people that are watching or listening to this is that with marketing, not everything's going to work.
No.
But you've got to get out there and have a go.
Look,
and you learn from your mistakes.
As you go through life, you're going to get a kick in the guts.
Yeah.
And I've had my kicks in the guts, but you've got to get up and get back on the horse, as they say. You know what I mean? Life's very simple. You can make life as complicated as you like.
Yeah.
Like when I owned a business, our buying system was firms used to send their quote in, they would fax it to me, and then my daughter or someone would go through and pick out the cheapest, and that would get that simple.
Yeah.
People used to think I had a staff of 4 or 5, and no, I never.
Right.
I mean, it was just simple.
Yeah.
And each company knew the rules, they would get told 2 o'clock who got the deal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Keep it simple.
And if you didn't put your best price in first, you missed the boat.
Out. So, were you ever scared to try something different with your marketing? From what you recall, did you ever think, oh no, I might try that? Or were you just very much a have a go kind of guy and see if it works or not?
Mate, I honestly can't tell you because I can't remember. But I think I just went with the flow, what I felt like doing, you know. And I don't know if I branched out that much, you know, because we did get some crazy billboards put up, you know. I put some crazy billboards up just to get people stimulated, get their brain thinking about the Mad Butcher, you know,
Yeah. So I've got a question for you. Like, if you had your time again and you simply had a mundane name for your butcher shop, not the Mad Butcher, just some regular name like the name of a street or something, and you relied on word of mouth and basic advertising, how different do you think the outcome would have been compared to what actually
Well, I wouldn't
happened?
be talking to you here today.
You wouldn't,
right?
would you?
No comparison. I mean, the personality, the type of guy I was or became, you know, because I wasn't always confident. Confidence when I come to Auckland, my first job was a grave digger, and then I got a job at Newton Meat, and there was a guy worked there, another young butcher like myself, and he was very cocky. And one day we decided to have a boning out competition. And lo and behold, I beat him, and I beat him well. I cleaned him up, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that gave me a bit of confidence because I thought, well, if he thinks he's great, I must be the greatest. You know, seriously, that's what I thought. And that helped, you know. But just keep moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess in tying up with that question, your brand, The Mad Butcher, how important do you consider it to be to build a brand? That was your brand, Mad Butcher, but for any business...
I can't answer that because, let me tell you, I didn't know I was building a brand.
No, you didn't, but you did though, didn't you?
But I didn't know that. All I was doing was surviving. That's all I was doing. And I had a big marketing genius say to me one day, do you realise your brand is up there with the Coca-Colas in New Zealand? In New Zealand. I said, no, you're joking. He said, yeah, it is. He said, we've done a bit of research and you know, your brand is very strong.
Yeah. So I guess the message I want to get out there for people, though, is that, and we really touched it on before when I gave you the example, if you had a mundane butcher shop with just a standard name and just didn't get out there and promote it, that in order to scale a business, no matter what the industry, you need a brand. You need a strong brand and go out there and tell everyone about that brand. If you just have the vanilla, then there's nothing for people to grab onto and really help launch that business.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but it's easier to say that. You know, like, I think if you look at me, you got to start like I did, just, you know, and then slowly build the brand. You can't do it overnight.
No,
you know,
no, you can't.
Because a lot of people, when they go into business, haven't got money. And if you look at me, we had no money.
Yeah.
We had no money. But as things got on, I was able to start doing a little bit of advertising, you know, and the more I made, the more I could invest in my future. Because like I said before, what you do is you invest in your future. But you also, you know, with your advertising, you got to back it up. You know, because I know a lot of people used to talk the talk, but when it come to the real goods, didn't back it up. You know, their service wasn't as good, and you know.
And that's important, and that is all part of the brand. And you know, interesting thing talking to you, and you're not on your own. A lot of people are the same. Is when they start out in business, they actually don't know or think about this whole concept of a brand. They just go out and do their thing, and then over time, in retrospect, they realise they've created a brand. And I think that's really what's happened with you. And part of creating that brand is to follow through with what you're trying to project. If you want to say that you're a certain thing, you need to make sure you deliver, that you are what you say you are. Otherwise, you can't create the brand. It's going to undermine that objective.
You also got to be careful you don't get head up your backs.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. I won't mention the hotel or that was a flash hotel. I took 8 people out for dinner, and in those days I was drinking. I don't drink any alcohol now, but I was drinking beer, you know, and the others all drank wine. And so anyhow, The wine waiter fills their glasses up 3 or 4 times. My beer glass is empty. So I go over to him and I say, listen, mate, don't you like me? And he was up himself, this guy. I said, to be honest, you're starting to F me off. I said, I'm paying the bill tonight. And I said, I'll be deciding if you get a tip or not. And I said, right now you won't get a tip. And right now I'll be complaining about everything. And you'll end up giving me the whole night free. I said, you've topped the wine glasses up 4 times and left my glass empty. And I said, you're effing pissing me off. I said, you better buck your ways up or we'll be walking out. To his credit, he topped my glass up. But when we were leaving, he said, I'll just say for 1 minute, thank you for bringing that to my attention. You've taught me a very good lesson. And I mean, he and I don't mean to be rude to the guy, but he did have his head up his backside. And mate, to be fair, he was just a waiter.
Yeah.
I'm just a butcher. To this day, people say, what do you do? I say, I'm a butcher. Well, now I say I'm an ex-butcher.
Yeah.
But, you know, and he filled the glass up 4 times, left my glass empty, the bugger. You know, when I was paying the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just simple things like that, they can make a difference, though, can't
Yeah.
they? Just that detail. So with your business, with the butcher shop, you know, just simple things can make all the difference in the experience for people when they come out and talk about you or
look,
not.
it's simple. Treat people how you want to be treated yourself. But look, let's be very blunt about this. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes, you know. But when I made a mistake, I tried to rectify it and do it better next time.
Yeah.
And that's
all you can do. I think, you know, isn't it one of those things in life is that everyone's going to make mistakes. The key is to learn from your mistakes. Don't keep making those same mistakes. Then you got a problem.
That's 100% right, you know.
Yeah.
And just remember, you can't beat the mad butcher's meat. And that wasn't one of my catchphrases. That was the new guy, Michael Morton, come up with that one, and it's a good one, you know. Yeah. I still say it in my dreams, to be fair.
Yeah, I can understand why. So, in closing, do you have any general words of advice for business owners on how they should approach their marketing?
It's horses for courses. Depends what you're selling, you know. And to be fair, I don't think you could do what I done today because it's changed. You've got social media, you've got Facebook. On Facebook, I've got 27,000 people follow me. Instagram, 16,000.
Yeah.
You know, the whole spectrum is different now.
Yeah.
You know, used to get one TV channel. Now you got bloody 40 or 50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I have people come and ask me about marketing. I say, look, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole new ballpark, completely new ballpark. So I genuinely can't answer that question.
I think
with wisdom.
Okay, but I think you've given us a lot of wisdom today, but you just don't realise it. But one of the things you said before, and I'm going to try and put words, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you are going to say, yes, I agree with this. And that is what we touched about early on, is that you always saw marketing as an investment, not an expense.
100%.
So would that be a message to pass?
Don't be scared to spend money on your advertising because it's like if you do your shop up, you're investing in your future. You're investing in your future. You know, if you're spending money on advertising, here again, if I hadn't spent money on advertising, I wouldn't be sitting here with you now. I wouldn't have the house on Waiheke Island. You know what I mean? Yeah, no. In life, you invest in your future. Yeah. You know, and it's if you sit on the fence, you get splinters. And every now and again, like I did, you go beyond. When I bungee jumped, I'll never forget, I went grey overnight. My granddaughter, who's now 30, still can't watch the video. Yeah, I went white, you know, but hey, AJ Hackett took me through it.
That's amazing. Good on you for doing that.
Great fella, yeah.
And I think the other thing is, although you didn't set out that way, you didn't realise it, but you are actually a great example of the importance of building a brand. And what you achieved, a lot of it has come through because you built a brand, and that was the Mad Butcher, and to the point that it's you as well. and that's just created such a strong image in people's minds.
Been a fantastic journey, absolutely fantastic. We've hit some bumps along the way,
Which is to be expected.
But at the end of the day, I like to use the term, we're going through a tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, there's a pot of gold. We got there in the end.
Yeah.
It was slow. It didn't happen overnight.
No.
The first 2 or 3 years, we were battling. And
Yeah.
to be fair, a lot of people would have walked away.
Yeah.
But, I suppose I was a bit pig-headed, to be fair, and didn't want to admit failure. So I thought, no, back of this, I was stuck in.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, sometimes I think if you're not going well, you're better to walk away.
Yeah.
And
it's a fine line to it. That's hard, isn't it? To judge when is the time to walk versus to dig in and keep going.
But I was that dumb, I didn't realise, so I hung in there.
Kept on going anyway.
It made Mr. Hill very proud.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Well, he was an amazing man. He gave you a great opportunity.
Yep.
But having said that, though, you still took that opportunity and did something with it too. So, well
he
done
gave
to
me
you.
the leg up. He gave me the leg up, mate.
Yeah.
And was a good man. He wasn't money driven,
Yeah.
He was prepared to have faith in me
Yeah.
and took that noose off my neck and said, you go. The noose was still there, but it was out here now, it wasn't tight.
Yeah.
No, great man. Used to drop him up a ham every Christmas. I did. 1 Half Street, Remuera.
Yeah.
How the other half live.
It's not too far up the road, actually.
Grammar Rugby down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. The college rifles.
College
Rifles.
Yeah. See, I'm not bright. Okay?
See, I was a coach for grammar
Where?
for grammar juniors. One of the best things I've ever done. It's great.
See, you don't need to say juniors. I was a coach. Doesn't make any difference. You're still a coach.
Yeah.
I coached softball. We didn't do any good, but I've still got a guy who lives in Aussie. When he contacts me, it's always coach.
Right.
Coach, how are you?
Yeah.
And boy, I got to be honest, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it when he gets them and I show my wife, look at this, he still remembers me,
Yeah.
Great days.
Fantastic.
Memories.
All right, Peter. Well, thank you so much. It's been amazing. Your experiences, to share them with all of us, is just invaluable. So thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure. Best of luck in the future.
All right.
And remember, 3 things. Share the love out there.
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And I forget what the third one is, but it'll come back to me.
Oh, that's pretty good anyway. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.